Now, the lack of gratitude prevents most people from doing good after having done well. We are more inclined than ever these days to simply accrue more on top of more on top of more on top of. There's a certain hubris in our entitlement for excess because, well, we have earned this by ourselves. Gratitude becomes almost superfluous. As masters of our fate, why do we need to feel gratitude? Hubert Dreyfus, an emeritus professor of philosophy at Berkeley, discusses this avowed sense of individual entitlement, but as seen through the lens of classical Greek literature. At the center of Homer's epic poems, the Olympian gods play a key role in human lives whereby they constantly intervene in life, making it difficult, almost impossible to think that one has ever accomplished anything on one's own. The gods are always there. At the very beginning of the Odyssey, we read, "All men need their gods." A concession, really, that one simply cannot perform, get things, go through life entirely on one's own. Our achievements, the Greeks would attain, our achievements are shared with the gods. A basic fatal flaw in some of Homer's characters is that they act as though they take credit for their own success. Consider the case of Ajax. After fighting valiantly for the Greeks in the Trojan War, he met with difficulty on his voyage home. In the treacherous sea, his ships were sunk against huge rocks, but Ajax managed to escape injury and death. He then actually bragged that he had escaped the sea's abyss by himself, despite the gods. And so when Poseidon heard Ajax rave about his independent accomplishment, he grabbed his trident and split the rock upon which Ajax sat. And as Homer described it, it bore him down into the boundless tide, and there, when he had drunk much brine, he died. So scholars look back to that story as a reminder that the Greek culture abhorred the idea of selfishly taking credit for one's success. If Ajax had been more grateful, he would not have perished in such a way and would even have attained that which the Greeks call a well-lived life. Conceit is an affront to everything held sacred. The gods actually require gratitude. They require gratitude from us. And although we are not that polytheistic today, if theistic at all, I believe we concur in the belief that we, mere mortals, do not control our destiny as much as we like to think we do. And when we observe this flaw in life, others, taking all the credit for their success, there's something that happens inside of us. There's something that rankles our spirit. It's not quite right. I'm sure many of you will remember, it was about 5 years ago, maybe 6, Woody Allen came out with his film Match Point. In that film, Woody Allen challenges the notion of winning the game of life entirely based on your own skill or cunning. The very opening scene of the film shows a static image of a tennis ball suspended just above the net. As Chris Wilton, a social climbing tennis instructor, explains, or perhaps confesses, the man who said, "I'd rather be lucky than good," saw deeply into life. People are afraid to face how great a part of life is dependent on luck. It's scary to think so much is out of one's control. There are moments in a match when the ball hits the top of the net, and for a split second, it can go either forward or fall backwards. And with a little luck, it goes forward and you win. Or maybe it doesn't, and you lose. Now, I recall that scene. Tremendous metaphor in my mind for how shaky the ground upon which I stand. I recall that scene when I spoke at the vigil a week ago Friday in Pioneer Park. Probably some 25 to 30 homeless people engaged me in conversation, speaking most cogently about the failures of our social system here in this country. And we just chatted. We laughed at times. We mourned together the loss of a homeless man named Mike. And the one man with whom I chatted quite extensively finally said to me, if the cops come tomorrow, they were tearing down the whole Occupy Wall Street in Pioneer Park. He said, if the cops come tomorrow, I'm walking. And I asked, where will you go? Where are you walking to? And he said it didn't matter. All that was left for him in life was to walk. And there he and I stood, facing each other, as though on a tennis court. And the ball just hit the very top of the net and hung there for a moment, and then fell in my favor by the good graces of that which I cannot account for. Many people in this chapel today, and indeed many more people outside these doors, stand one health crisis away from homelessness. The safety net for those who are not so lucky on life's playing field, the safety net, quote-unquote safety net, continues to be shredded in order to safeguard the bounty of those who pretend to be in such damn control of their lives. Such self-satisfaction leads to a paucity of gratitude. And without gratitude at the center of one's life, then generosity becomes moot. Fences are erected to keep those who are in need away from those who have. But not much really separates winners and losers, as in that tennis match. And the ball is just at the top of the net. And you win or lose by the grace of the gods, or by luck, by whatever. But we live in an age of scarcity, not all that different from the first Thanksgiving. This is hard for us to accept because for a few generations now, we've come to regard the sense of limitless bounty as our birthright. And so we tend to resolve some of our difficulties by passing them along to the next generation. But it's the next generation that is protesting now. It's that next generation protesting our denial of shrinking resources, shrinking opportunities, shrinking hope for a sustainable future. So when I look upon that Rorschach test called Thanksgiving, I see similar challenges faced throughout history in times of scarcity. That which pulled us through was always a deeper connection with the sacred. Recognition, first of all, that we are not in control. And that if we do succeed, our success deserves gratitude. We've been blessed. We dare not give ourselves too much credit. Are not the lessons learned by our Puritan forebears who set foot upon these shores in 1620, are not the lessons that sharing with others is paramount because we cannot make it on our own? And furthermore, must we not live more simply so that this abundance, we know there is this abundance, can go around more equitably? And is it not incumbent upon us to show generosity to those who have not succeeded, because the margin of making it or not making it is just like that image of a tennis ball suspended at the top of the net. Without feeling gratitude, there is no generosity. Thanksgiving reminds us of our need to be grateful before feeling too entitled. In our gratitude, we can offer a generous heart to others. And Thanksgiving is quick to remind us that our materialism and our insensitivity may have gotten the better of us. But if we stop long enough to let the blessings of family and friends, little children and ancient parents, a table set before us of harvest food, good books that inspire, the music that lifts our spirit, if we allow these simple blessings to wash over our spirits, we'll be grateful for all that we may have taken for granted. And then we'll be able to open our hearts and graciously make the world a little more